everyone, and happy Sunday. Welcome to week 10 of our e-learning business leadership course for the week of April 15th to 19th. Welcome back and welcome to our week 10 agenda items. So moving through unit 2 content, the first 2 weeks of unit 2 really are about delivering content and information regarding the unit. So they're kind of gentle in that it's really an introduction to the course before we get into the actual assignments and the sort of application of the content. But of course, with content also comes making sure that you are managing your course notes and readings really well. So let's jump into what we've got going on this week. As always, I have my little preamble here. Feel free to read that. But otherwise, this week, we are focusing on finishing our learning on decision making, which we started last week when we had our lesson on decision making through the slide deck as well as a discussion post. This week, we are going to we have a reading on decision making. So I know I mentioned this in one of the instructional videos that if you do plan to go to university next year, your professors will give you lots and lots of readings. So it's good to get used to them now, even just a little bit. I know that they can be rather boring, but it is a great way of getting a lot of information in a short amount of time. So with readings, you want to make sure that you are going through them and making course notes as you do, because if you do go to university, you are responsible for knowing everything that's in the readings, and your exams will reflect that. So go through the reading and take good notes. When you're done the reading, there is an inquiry activity posted in Dropbox. These are guided questions. So basically, these questions are derived directly from the reading. So you just need to go through the reading and you'll have the answers to the questions. There are some inquiry questions as well that have you, take that information and glean that information and try to make connections. So, looking at your thinking and application of that content as well. So for that, again, that is available to you in Dropbox. If you go to our Dropbox and you go all the way down to Unit 2 assessments, because now we are in Unit 2, this is inquiry activity number 4. So you are going to make a copy of the document and share it with me and give me editing privileges. So I've expressed this in every single assignment so far. It is imperative that this is the way that you submit your work. So again, you are always required to make a copy of the document or to create your responses in a Google document and always share it with me and give me that editing access. I will not mark your assignments unless I can actually see how you go through your assignment. That is just a requirement, and it's becoming a requirement of mostly every course right now. Again, this is just so that we can see your process, which is triangulation of assessment. Okay, so with that in mind, that is your first assignment of the week. That's due on Monday at 8 a.m. as always. We then have two lessons on planning. So the 4 functions of management, one of the functions of management is planning. Obviously, there's organizing and there's controlling and leading. So we've talked a little bit about organizing. We get into controlling and leading in the latter half of this unit. So we are talking about planning this week. The decision-making and planning go kind of hand in hand. It requires a strong plan to make great decisions. So you're going to be going through the stages of planning and looking at various different types of plans from an organizational and management perspective in these lessons. So as always, please make notes on these lessons and go through the lessons and make sure that you understand the content that is delivered to you in the lessons. There's also some reflection questions just to have you think about, your relationship with planning. And that's also going to be tied to the discussion post that's been assigned to you this week, which is discussion post number 5. Okay, so as always, a discussion post you can find under communication in our course. Sorry, I'm just making sure that I'm not doing anything I don't want to do here. So if you go under communication, discussions, and you scroll down to discussion post number 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got the importance of planning. Here it is. Okay, so for our discussion post for this week, you do have to make sure that you go through the lesson content so that you have that content also embedded somewhere in your discussion posts. You have 2 questions to reflect on. For example, what is one goal you've had in the past that you failed to achieve or took longer to achieve because you did not plan enough? Be specific to your own experiences and connect this to the lessons. I want to see direct lesson content used strategically. So again, I expect that you are not only going to be sharing your own personal experiences, but you're going to be connecting it to the content of these 2 lessons, as well as to the content of the decision-making lesson from last week. All right. And as always with discussion posts, you are also expected to ask a question of your peers and then read and reply to 2 peer posts for that full credit. Okay. So discussion posts being that ability to make connections to the material as well as your personal experiences. Okay, and that's due on Monday at 8 a.m. as well. So fairly straightforward week, again, as we try to just gather content that we can get and use in our next project, which will be assigned to you next week. So again, just to summarize, we've got our reading on decision making and our associated inquiry questions or guided reading questions. That's to be submitted in Dropbox. You make a copy of the document, share it with me, and give me editing privileges, and it's due Monday at 8 a.m. Then you read and review and take notes on planning lesson day 1, planning lesson day 2, and then you complete the discussion post tying your answers to the content of those lessons. And also make sure that you ask a question of your peers, read and reply to at least 2 peer posts, and make sure that that is all wrapped up by Monday at 8 a.m. And that's our week, okay? So I hope you have a great week. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to email me. We can always pop into a Google Meet. Otherwise, I hope you have a great week, and I will see you online.